Alito Chimachukma, this is Chief Steve coming at y'all with another episode of True Story. Now, before we get into it, I'd like to say Yokoki, thank you to all of my new subscribers. We are now 650 strong in the community. That is more than what we had last week, and we are still growing. So thank you, each and every one of you, from the bottom of my heart, from my day ones to those who are just now subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so whenever I drop these bombs, you'll be the first one to grab them. So, got an interesting one for you guys today. Without further ado, let's get into it. Again, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for helping this channel grow to where it is right now. We're now at 655 subscribers, which is amazing because I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's about almost 100 more than what we had last week. So those of y'all that's been rocking with me from this point all the way to y'all that's, brand new, that's coming onto the channel, and it's probably the first video that you guys are ever actually seeing on this channel, I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Tata Kista, I cherish y'all. All right. So we're here to bring the true story to the light. The true story that history has neglected to teach us about in our compulsory education schools. Right. So if you are new to the channel, there's more than likely a chance that you have rode the wave of these recent short videos that I've done about us not being African American, which is, hey, it's the truth. You know what I mean? If you don't know, now you know. And if you need some more time to learn, you are in the right place. Yet at the same time, those who have been here and those who are here have a general understanding, a recognition, and a realization that we, as the copper-colored Aborigines, we as the reclassified, now declassified American Indians, are not indeed African Americans. We never came from Africa. We've never been on a boat to Africa, or from Africa rather. We have been on boats to Africa because there have been kidnappings and there have been, prisoners of war throughout this land's history. Yet at the same time, we never originated from any other place. We've always been here. And I'm not the only one who's telling people this. And of course you have bigger channels that, are conveying this to our people and everything. And you may know who those people are. And at the same time, you don't even have to have a platform really to know the truth. All you have to do is just speak to your elders, speak to your ancestors. And when I say speak to the ancestors, take that time to take that meditation and really do your research, do your genealogy, that meditation of self, and really get to understand and know where you come from. And if you don't have any people that come from Africa on your line, then hey, that's okay. We've all been lied to in some way, shape, or form. This is a fairy tale. The Out of Africa theory is a fairy tale. Okay, it's just a theory. And that theory has been debunked over recent time and time again. So it's nothing new. And if you're here, you're interested in knowing more about that, and that's fine. And I want you to know, and this is what this video is about today, that you are not the only one. You're not the only person who understands and knows that what we've been told is not the truth, and that there's more to our story than just coming off of boats from Africa and being so-called slaves. All right. And I even get down into what slavery and indentureship is and everything like that in my prior videos. So if you want to do that, go ahead and check out those videos. My catalog is open to you. It's public. You can start from the very beginning all the way up to now. Go from the oldest to the newest. Check them all out, because it all is consistent and it rings true to the true narrative, which is not a narrative at all. It is just the straight up truth that we have been here, we are still here, and we aren't going anywhere. Okay? Now, like I said before, I'm not the only one who is saying this. This is more than just a fad. It's more than just a phase. It's more than just a quote unquote movement. It's more than just a trend. Okay, these are well-known truths that are starting to come out even more prevalent in our day and age, as social media has developed, as people have gotten platforms and people have gotten, the voice to speak out and have a place to speak and convey. It has gotten out. The truth is here, and it's always been here. And so we're going to take a look through these clips that I found on TikTok of all the different Nijikewan, the different Nijis, different brothers and sisters that are out here, along with others, those who are not from here, who know the truth and know who we are. Now you're going to get to hear from their mouths firsthand of who we are and the lies that have been told to us. Okay? And I'm going to do some pauses and commentary in between, so y'all bear with me. It's going to be a good one, though. It's going to be very entertaining, so y'all strap in and get ready to get into these visuals. All right? So once again, thank you all. Again, 655 plus. I really appreciate it. The community appreciates it. The more that we get together and the more that we come together as one to really learn these truths, understand these truths, and also apply these truths in our daily lives, the world becomes better for it. Our people become better for it. All right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these visual clips.
Come on up in here and let me tell you a secret. A lot of us ain't came from Africa. A lot of us ain't already been here. The indigenous ones, happy Indigenous Day to all of you. If you got some Cherokee in you, shout out to the Trelleteers, baby. Yes, we ain't got off of no boat. We didn't already been here. They got off the boat and got onto our land. This land is your land. This land is my land, baby. And it is ours. And you better hear me. You need to go. You better go on and do you some research. Like I said, a lot of us ain't African. A lot of us as indigenous people, we just unaware because they called you African American. Ain't no African in you, baby. You got them 360 waves coming down the, you know what I mean? Indian, baby. You heard me? You know what I'm talking about. You got that Indian in you, that indigenous in you. Indigenous, Indian, indigenous. Cherokee blood still reigns in me and will live through me for eternity. You heard me? Happy Indigenous Day to all my Cherokee and rest of my Indian fam.
So as you can see from our Niji, from our sister right here, she's breaking it down, letting y'all know that all of us did not come from Africa. Now, a lot of people didn't start coming from Africa until the late 1700s, almost 1800s, and by that time, I mean, there's already been Aboriginal people here already. There's already copper-colored indigenous people that were here already. Okay, so she has her unique, animated way of saying, hey, you got to know the truth. You need to do your research. You need to understand what's going on. You need to understand what's happening and why we are doing what we're doing, why we're saying what we're saying. We have always been here and we ain't going nowhere. That's why she says shout out to the Trail of Tears, because a lot of our people were moved out from our original land and was moved west of the Mississippi, or was moved down south into the into the southwest, into the southeast, from the northeast, and then those who were still in the southeast that originally were moved further out west, went into Indian territory, and then those who remained, a lot of us remained and stayed. Those who remained were reclassified from Indians to Negroes. From Indians to Negroes. All right? We were given another identity through that removal. You look up the Indian Removal Act, that was about us. That's what the Trail of Tears was. That's what it was. That's who it was for. Okay? And so, yeah, like I said, she's proud. She's proud of who she is. And Indigenous Peoples Day had just recently passed. It was this month. And we also have Indigenous, or not Indigenous, but American Indian Heritage Month, which is coming up in November. That really is, that's our month right there. That was designated for us. I know a lot of people, they want to talk about Black History Month. But Black History Month is a reason why they only give you certain narratives and things that they want you to focus on. And that's because they're trying to keep you away from our true story, from who we truly are. But now that we have an opportunity in celebrating, publicly out loud, our American Indian heritage in November, hey, we just gonna ramp it up and we gonna keep pumping out this truth. But yet and still, every day should be a celebration of your heritage, no matter who you are, and especially for us as the lost but now found American Indians, right? Because our history has been hidden from us. Our history was taken away from us. Our heritage was taken away from us. Everything that we had known at one point has been stripped from us by policies and by oppression, by genocide, paper genocide, and even physical genocide. Okay? So now that we are living in the times that we're in right now, it is more important than ever to reach back and pull forward our lost heritage and bring it out and convey it to not only the world, but to one another, to our children, and instill this truth into us so that when we move forward in full confidence, knowing who we are, where we've been, and where we're going. All right, so shout out to this sister right here. You see her credentials. Check her out on TikTok. We're going to keep on moving forward. Pause for the cause. We're going to keep going. Hey, y'all, if y'all enjoying what y'all seeing, make sure y'all like this video. Hit that thumbs up on that bottom part of the video. We need to get as many eyes on this true story as possible so that this can continue to hit the algorithm, and those who need to know the truth will be able to see this truth and be able to share it with others as we continue to spread it out further and further. So make sure you like this video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure you subscribe.
Why are you not African? You're just only American?
Yeah, I'm American.
Okay, explain.
So my most recent descendants are literally from Central America and North America, Indigenous Black Americans. They have the same color, the same melanin content, but they are not from Africa. I can't name any country in Africa. What I'm saying is that if I take a test right now, I could say some Italian, some German, some Australian up in there, 13% Ghanaian, 19% Nigerian, like who knows and who cares? But what I'm saying is that my immediate ancestors are American.
Oh, yeah.
Mine.
Are they Black?
They're Black, but they're not African. It's a difference. The whole thing about African booty scratchers, and even why Black Americans have been called African booty scratchers, is because the white people have classified us all as coming from Africa because we're all Black. And that's where the whole falsified information has come, where we all come from the Atlantic slave trade and all the Black people were just shipped here to this country and all over. That's not true. We were already here. We were already here lining up every part of the world.
But if what you're saying is true, then you are more Hispanic or Asian than you are Black, because before the transatlantic slave trade, there was what they call Paleo Indian, which those individuals...
No, and once again, you're misinformed, and that's nice.
I'm not saying that's the only people that were here, but
yeah,
they have Paleo Indians, which the Aztec came from, which the Aztec, the Inca, those tribes came from what is called Asia to some extent.
What I'm saying is that with the transatlantic Atlantic slave trade, you've been misinformed to think that there were only, paleo, white colored Indians essentially that were here. That's not true. There were Black people here, or as people say, the Moors, or whatever you want to call it. There were Black people here indigenously, like they were across the whole world.
All right, once again, another sister breaking it down, and just to comment on some of those talking points the Paleo Indians, or what he wanted to call Paleo Indians, they weren't called Paleo Indians back then. And the ones that he's talking about that came from Asia, those I guess you can call them, you know, the Mongolians or Siberians, you know, and then they were later given the title of Indian. They were given the title Native American, and those are your Native Americans today. You know, a lot of them that have origins and stuff in Asia, and origins and, you know, things in different places. But the difference between being a native and an Aborigine, someone who's originally from here, is being an Aboriginal is being one who has been here since the beginning. Since the beginning. There was no migration. There were those who migrated and became indigenous in that way, in that manner. Yet at the same time, just because you're indigenous to a landmass does not mean that you originally came from a landmass. There were dark-skinned, copper-colored races here in the Americas before anyone has ever migrated here. This land was not completely uninhabited when so-called Columbus, or when, you know, the what he wants to call the Paleo Indians, when they migrated out into the Americas. Those who came from the Asiatic continent, they did not come out here with no they didn't come out here with an empty space. There was not vacant land. This land was inhabited by our people, by copper-colored Aborigines. Okay, give me 1 second. Say what?
How long is this timer left?
We got about like maybe a little over an hour. Okay. All right. Don't interrupt again. I'm doing the video. Okay. Sorry, that was my daughter. She's checking in on the time. I got some duck in the oven, so yeah, that's gonna be good. So as I said, I'm not gonna keep y'all too long because I gotta chow down. All right. But yeah, what I was saying was, this land was not completely uninhabited. It wasn't just an empty space. America was not just an empty space and people started migrating here and just discovering places. There were people here way before, since time immemorial. Before time ever existed, there have been people here. Okay? The copper-colored Aborigines. We were here from the beginning. All right? And just also another talking point of hers, when she's talking about the DNA test. She's basically saying, because it was edited on here, basically saying if she did take a DNA test, it'll show that she has 13% of this and 10% of that and all kinds of stuff from, you know, all over the place. Germany, Africa, Nigeria, everything of that nature. And a lot of people want to make that a talking point, you know, because there are people who want to argue us down and really have the audacity to try to denounce our heritage and denounce who we are, our identity. And we're not saying that everybody is, you know, we're saying that we are. If you know yourself to be, and if you are doing your research and you really see and find out that you don't have any immediate ancestors or any people, period, coming from Africa, then why are you still calling yourself an African? But people aren't looking at that common logic, that common knowledge, and they're clinging on to the fairy tale. They're clinging on to, you know, the narrative, the theory that we all came from Africa, and then they'll fight us on that, and they'll say, oh, well, if you're from America and you're not from Africa, do a DNA test. Those DNA tests were built to tell you lies. Those DNA tests were meant for entertainment. They're entertainment purposes only. And that's the next clip that we're going to get to further affirm that, because I know you've heard it before, that these DNA tests are for entertainment purposes only, but we're going to go ahead and hear it straight from the horse's mouth. We have doctors and scientists and researchers here that are going to tell you firsthand that these tests, these DNA tests, that's supposed to prove ancestry, that you came from another land from somewhere else and giving you percentages and stuff, all of that is a lie. All of that is just clearly for entertainment. It's no better than reading a horoscope. It's purely speculation, and what it's based off of is less than a percentage of who you actually are, because there's no way to trace your ancestors in that kind of form or fashion, in the kind of science that they're trying to tell everybody that this is how you do it. The only way to really prove your lineage, to really prove who you are, is by physical record, is by genealogy. Okay? Genealogy and DNA ancestry is two completely different things. One is real, based off of truth, and the other one is based off of entertainment and speculation. And we're going to get into that right now. Pause for the cause, and we're going to get into those clips. Special shout out to Duke Slim for sharing these in the comments on one of my posts that went, I guess, mini viral, as they like to say. But yeah, this is him commenting, replying to someone else. And he says right here, y'all got to update your information. DNA tests are not scientific at all. It's guesswork based on less than 0.1% of your total genome. As geneticists have stated that it's impossible to trace ethnicity via spit kits or swabs. Genealogy is how you know where you come from. So we're going to get into these clips right here and see what it's all about. Shout out again to Duke Slim.
Heritage.
Learn your heritage. Guy says I was...
Look, French and German. What?
Oh, I don't have that.
You don't have that at all?
No.
We're identical twins, but you'd have to wonder with results like these. I'm 3.8% broadly European.
Well, I'm 12.7.
Wow, that's a big difference. What do you think about the messages that are being sent to consumers?
I think it's misleading. These companies are really trying to push the idea that this is scientific, right? They are using scientific language and they present it in a way that looks very sciencey and precise.
Caulfield says what people are really buying is entertainment.
I think it's recreational science. They can have a little bit of fun with this stuff. Don't take it too seriously, but know that you're just getting some information that is an approximation of how your DNA compares to other people. It's not tracing back your heritage.
Learn your heritage. Guy says I was born in Scotland. It turns out he was born in Puerto Rico, and that's okay.
William Gilliland is a biology professor at DePaul. He says DNA kits can be great for connecting family members and finding relatives, but the science for ethnicity testing isn't as concrete.
There's nothing that confident for ethnicity. There's no diagnostic nucleotide. You can say this person is from Europe, this person's from Africa.
William Gilliland is a biology professor at DePaul. He says DNA kits can be great for connecting family members and finding relatives, but the science for ethnicity testing isn't as concrete.
There's nothing that confident for ethnicity. There's no diagnostic nucleotide. You can say this person is from Europe, this person's from Africa.
William Gilliland is a biology professor at DePaul. He said,
but businesses often don't go around telling you how weak their product is.
I'm sorry, guys. Give me a second. My kids are crying. I'm going to pause for the cause real quick. All right, y'all. Sorry for the interruption. We're going to go ahead and get into this one again.
But businesses often don't go around telling you how weak their product is.
We don't oversell. I mean, we just say, look, we provide a service. If you're interested in exploring a tiny bit of your DNA and trace its ancestry, we can do that.
When you say it's a tiny little amount,
It's less than 0.1%. We don't oversell. I mean, we just say, look, we provide a service. We don't oversell. I mean, we just say, look, we provide a service.
But businesses often don't go around.
So yeah, there you have it there, straight from the horse's mouth. They're telling you right there, this is all just entertainment purposes only. This is not hold weight. This is not hold water. Even if it's from a legal perspective. If you were to go to court saying, oh, I was discriminated as I'm 13% this, 12% that, 25% this, that's not going to hold in a court. You know why? Because it's all entertainment. That's all it is. This is just pseudoscience. It's what you call pseudoscience. This is false gnosis right here. This is not the real deal. You cannot figure out who your direct bloodline descendant is and where they come from and how they used to move and all that stuff, what tribe and all that stuff. Even those who have done DNA ancestry, they can't tell you what tribe or what person was in that tribe that they came from, that was taken on a boat and brought to America. They can't tell you those things. You know why? Because the paper doesn't say that. It only gives you roundabout speculation based off of 0.1% of spit. So there you go, man. But we're gonna go ahead and now that y'all see that that's a false argument right there that people will try to throw at you constantly. A lot of people, oh, show us the DNA test, give us your DNA results. What did your DNA test say? Have you done a DNA test? You don't need to do a DNA test. You need to do hardcore research, physical paper. Get some papers in front of you, get some documents in front of you. They will let you know. Even those who have come off of slave ships, that have came off of boats from different places, that have came off of cargo ships, that have came from across the waters, it will let you know your genealogy, your hardcore records, medical records, birth certificates, death certificates, census records. Those will let you know. Ship manifest, registries from different ports, they will let you know if your person or your ancestor came off of a boat from another land. Okay? But if they don't have any of that to back up what they're saying, and then they're still trying to tell you who you are, you need to question that person, because there's something going on with them to make them want to question your identity and not check themselves. All right. Another argument is, oh well, if you're indigenous, or if you're from this land, how come you don't speak of any of the languages? How come you don't speak any of the native languages? Well, we got a sister right here that's going to tell you why and what's been going on with that. More facts and evidence. Pause for the cause. We're going to get into it.
If you tell someone that you are Native, Indigenous, Aboriginal of any part of the Americas, and then the response is, really, do you speak your native language? It's a disrespectful comment. Anyone who knows the history of American Indians, which is American history, would know that because of terrorist colonial practices, there are many American Indian people, tribes that lost indigenous languages. At one point in North America, those who chose to continue the practices of their people were placed into mental asylums, terrorized, killed, all sorts of terroristic behaviors. That happened. So for anyone to try and discredit you and tries to use the language as a way to discredit who you are and your bloodline, they're mocking the genocide of indigenous peoples.
So once again, you have another Niji sister, another copper-colored Aborigine breaking it down for you of why we don't speak some of the ancient languages today. And honestly, English is, if you do your research, a mixture of the different indigenous languages put together. That's why we speak such a different English than those from so-called England, or those from across the water that speak what they want to call proper English, but it's not proper English. It's a version of our English. Our English is the original English, and it was created here in the Americas with a mix of the Latin as well. So it's a mixture of all of our indigenous languages from this continent that created the language that we're speaking today. And this language that we speak today happens to be the lingua franca of the world. This is the international language for trade. Okay? And before we were even doing that, in order to communicate with one another, when we did have our different languages, we used sign language. That's why no matter where you go, what was the sign language called? It's called American Sign Language. Okay? So a lot of that communication and stuff, it came from here. It started here. All right? But we're going to go ahead and end the video right here for now. And we're going to have a part 2 on this. But I just wanted to let y'all know this is one of the reasons why we do not call ourselves African. We have never been African. Those who are saying they don't want to be called African American, respect them. Put some respect on it, because they're actually doing the research. They're actually finding out who they are. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and end the video on this note. We got a part 2 coming up. I'm going to be dropping these back to back. So y'all stay tuned and look forward to the other one. It's coming. Until then, Tata Kista. I cherish you all. 650 members strong. I truly appreciate it. And we still growing. Yokoki, thank you. From the bottom of my heart. We'll see you next time. Chief Steve signing off.